This one's on me. I didn't have them ready enough, obviously. I'll do a better job, and it starts with me, and then we will get it corrected and go forward.
Carey owns Temple's first loss of the season, but now in comes an old friend for Saturday's next tilt.
This game is not about me. This is Georgia Tech football program versus the Temple University football program.
Jeff Collins is back in the house. Keep us locked in because OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this brand new edition of OwlSports Update. Alongside Adam Kernally, I'm JJ Mihowski.
During the next 30 minutes, we'll recap the past week in field hockey, men's and women's soccer, and even some tennis. But before we get to any of that, it's time for Temple football and the return of Jeff Collins. We've got a game with plenty of storylines coming up this Saturday when Georgia Tech comes to town. It's Temple's final non-conference game. It's the ACC versus the AAC. Temple is coming off its first loss of the year. And oh, by the way, Jeff Collins is back in town for the first time since he jumped ship last December. In fact, here's an odd stat. Collins is the only coach this year in college football nor the NFL to face his former team one season after leaving.
This game is not about me. I know there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of leading up to Temple versus me. That is not what this is. This is Georgia Tech football program versus the Temple University football program. Obviously, I love the players that we're coaching now, and I love the players that I was blessed to coach and recruit the 2 years that I was there. So I'm watching the game on Saturday and on TV, and my 3-year-old daughter is sitting there, and she's running around singing the fight song, singing the Temple University fight song. That doesn't change, the feelings and the strong feelings that I have for those guys individually, but it's time to compete, and we will do that.
Before coming to Temple to take over for former head coach Matt Rule, Jeff Collins was the defensive coordinator at the University of Florida. The money down made its way up north when Collins took the position before the start of the 2017 season.
Collins gave this university here at Temple all of the juice, leading the team to a 15-10 record over 2 seasons. And who could forget about the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl victory of 2017? The Minister of Mayhem was known for his energy level and a nationally ranked defense. Last season, Temple's defense known as the Dark Side. And for that reason, Adam, I deem this game the return of the Jeffi.
Very funny, JJ, but it's also a big day for Collins' former players, and there are plenty of them on Temple's side of the field, ready for this reunion.
We say it's a 24-hour rule, win or loss. You have 24 hours to celebrate it or to make the corrections that you need to make and move on to the next week. So it's been 24 hours, we turn the page, and I think that we have a good opportunity to come back home in front of our fans and get a big win against a Power 5 school.
This is one of the games I have marked on my calendar for a long, long time. And it should be a fun game. Coach Collins is going to be out there, all the old coaching staff and this new coaching staff. It should be a good time, a good game. Yeah, of course. I'm definitely going to say and talk some trash a little bit, but it's all love, most definitely.
It's going to be real fun to go out there and see our old coach. But it's all love, no hate at all, no bad feelings.
But regardless of Coach Collins' career at Florida, Temple, and now Georgia Tech, this weekend is about 2 teams in need of a win.
Joining us at the Plasma is Inside the Nest reporter Ray Dunn to break down this matchup. Hey, Ray.
Thanks, guys. Coach Collins and crew haven't had an ideal start to their tenure down in Atlanta. Much like Collins' first year at Temple when the Owls had to open up against Notre Dame, he wasn't gifted with an easy debut in his time with the Yellow Jackets. Looking at the schedule so far, Georgia Tech got crushed when they traveled to Clemson to open the season. The Tigers forced 4 turnovers and ran for 417 yards en route to a crushing win over the Yellow Jackets 52-14. Georgia Tech bounced back against its first American Athletic Conference opponent of the season in Week 2, winning the defensive battle with South Florida 14-10. The real shocker here is the result 2 weekends ago against the Citadel. The Bulldogs' triple option offense ran all over the Yellow Jackets and propelled them to an overtime victory 27-24. Where have things gone wrong? Statistically, Georgia Tech's offense has been one of the worst in college football. Out of the 130 teams in Division I FBS college football, Georgia Tech is 123rd in scoring at about 17 points per game. In a year where the Yellow Jackets are transitioning offensively from the triple option to a more traditional spread offense, the passing game has struggled mightily. And finally, much like Temple this season, the Yellow Jackets have been downright bad on third down, converting 1 in every 3 tries. Here's 2 Yellow Jackets to keep an eye on for Saturday's game. Starting on the defensive side of the ball, sophomore linebacker Charlie Thomas has been all over the field so far this season. Second on the team in tackles, and already with 3 forced fumbles, Thomas has a knack for finding ball carriers and punching out the ball. On the offense, look no further than redshirt sophomore running back Jordan Mason. Averaging just under 6 yards per carry with 4 touchdowns on the year, Mason has been a bright spot on a rather dull offensive effort for Georgia Tech thus far. On Saturday, the Owls look to knock off an ACC opponent for the first time since 2011. Since that time, 3 former Owls coaches, Steve Adazio, Jeff Collins, and Manny Diaz, have become head coaches in that conference. Game time, 3:30. Adam and JJ, back to you.
Thanks so much, Ray. If you can't make it to the game, you can follow along on Twitter at OwlSports Update. The game will be aired nationally on CBS Sports Network. You can also listen in on 97.5 The Fanatic or here on campus at WHIP.
Back to some of the other storylines we talked about at the top of the show. This coming Saturday's game got much more important thanks to last Saturday's dreadful performance at Buffalo. Temple arrived in Buffalo undefeated, but the Owls left battered and bruised. Rod Carey looks to be in the zone at the start of this one, and so is redshirt sophomore cornerback Christian Braswell. Braswell picks off Buffalo quarterback Matt Myers for the first drive of the game. It's his first interception of the season as well. The Owls are already in the red zone, and Russo decides to go play action. He pumps and fires to Isaiah Wright for the touchdown. The second quarter began the downfall for Temple. Right away, it's Jarrett Patterson bouncing it to the outside for 6. Buffalo on the move again, and this one hurts. Senior single-digit linebacker and the hero against Maryland, Sean Bradley, is called for targeting. The call is confirmed, and Bradley was ejected for the rest of this game. Buffalo goes back to work, and this time it's Matt Myers on the draw play, and he runs it in for himself, untouched. Here's Buffalo again. This time it's Kevin Marks up the middle for another Bulls touchdown. Temple couldn't get anything going in this one. Here, it's Russo throwing one of his 3 interceptions on the day. A pick 6 from Buffalo's Joey Banks has Buffalo up 38-10. Temple does score twice in the fourth quarter thanks to Brandon Mack. This 33-yard touchdown pass from Russo was the second touchdown reception in the quarter for him, but it's much too little, much too late. The Owls lose this one 38-22.
Team that has been struggling, 3 turnovers and 21 points off that early. And then you get behind the chains, they can do what they did, which control the ball on offense, keep it away from us. Then we didn't play real well on offense. And at times we played well on defense, didn't play real well there, and then special teams bit us in the butt. This one's on me. I didn't have them ready enough, obviously. I'll do a better job, and it starts with me, and then we will get it corrected and go forward.
It's time to take our first break, but don't go anywhere. We're just getting started.
We'll recap the field hockey team's matchup against Liberty and Drexel, where the game got personal for Temple's head coach.
The field hockey team has found themselves in a lot of headlines this season. Going into week 5, will they be in another headline? This and more coming up in 90 seconds.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. We now turn our focus to field hockey action this past weekend for a pair of games. First on Friday, when the Owls opened up conference play against the Liberty Flames, who were ranked 13th in the national poll coming into Howarth Field. But 13 seconds into the game, it's Charlotte Van Holt getting the scoring started. Nita Caratanudo had 4 stops on the day, but it wasn't enough as this goal from Lizzie Hamlet puts the Flames up 2. Jill Bolton moving in now, and she slips past the defense, ripping a shot, giving Liberty the 3-0 lead. Daniela Rhodes sinks the dagger in the 46th minute. Liberty defeats the Owls by a final score of 4-0. 2 days later, Susan Schufo is ready to stick it to her alma mater, Drexel. In another home game at Howarth Field, 6 minutes in, Danny Bates opens up the scoring with this shot to give the Owls the lead. The Dragons had an answer in the second quarter, and we took this game to halftime, 1-1. Good defense helps out with a 2-1 lead, and it's Claire Thomas taking this biscuit and tucking it home at Grandma's house to put the Owls up by 2. A late penalty shot goal by the Dragons wasn't enough. With the 3-2 win, Temple moves to 4-2 in 2019.
Had a ton of opportunities. I honestly am really proud at how we were able to manage that in our backfield, especially, second quarter for them, they had 9 shots and 7 corners, so that was definitely a series for them that they were really threatening. We've been talking a lot about being relentless in the opportunities that we do have, and they definitely left it in the circle today, so I think to have, we only had 7 shots today, and to have 7 shots, 3 goals is a pretty nice stat.
Field hockey team has certainly found itself in the spotlight in the early weeks of the season. All of this attention has happened under Susan Schufo, who's only in her first year as the head coach.
Joining us from the Temple Sports Complex at Howarth Field is Courtney Murphy to explain. Hey, Courtney.
Hey guys, the field hockey team is off to a great start this season, doubling their wins. But with Susan Schufo as the new coach comes with a tons of story headlines. Almost halfway into the season, will there be another headline, or will there be a normal week?
An early season winning streak to a national controversy to beating the head coach's alma mater. The first month of the field hockey season has had a new headline each week. While the media attention is part of the job, it's been unusual.
That's just kind of something on the outside. It's an outside factor. So obviously the Kent State fiasco is unfortunate, but we were able to move on to Bryant that next week. Sunday was a really special game against Drexel, but again, everything on the outside is just kind of noise, and we're really focusing on what's happening on the inside of our program.
While it may seem stressful to us, the team is unfazed by any of the major headlines. They take it one day at a time with the next one on their minds by practicing, playing, and winning.
1, 2, 3, go! Pretty much, well, we're just focused now that we're in Big East, so we take every day, day by day so far. We don't really worry about headlines and stuff. We just are focusing on getting our first Big East win and then moving from there.
We come out each day with a new goal, and we're focused on that, nothing else. I feel having those small details, we come out to practice, those tiny goals to focus on, to come away with, knowing that we've developed on those or progressed.
Film, weekend games, and practices are the 3 things to a typical week. Even if Schufo knows what comes with a normal week, she does not know when it will happen.
Luckily for us, the ladies have done a really good job of whatever is thrown at us, we just kind of manage it. So who knows when we'll actually have a fully normal week, but it's been going really well for us.
3 of Temple's next 4 games are in the Big East. Up next, a Providence road trip where the Friars are looking to snap a 2-game slide. Live from the Temple Sports Complex, I'm Courtney Murphy. Guys, back to you.
Thank you so much, Courtney. We're up against our second break, but there's still more to come.
I'll take you on a trip around the world, or at least to northern France, to tell you the story of 2 friends who are kicking it out on the pitch.
How both the men's and women's soccer teams fared against UPenn over the weekend. Don't change that channel. OwlSports Update. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Men's soccer entered Saturday's game at Penn on a 2-game winning streak. Temple started hot with senior goalkeeper Simone Lefebvre punching the ball away to get one of his 3 saves on the evening. A foul in the 34th minute results in a free kick for Temple. Mika Bourget is there to bury the ball, but wait! He's called offsides and the goal is called back. We go to the half scoreless. 53rd minute of play and it's Joey Bangdia who scores to give the Quakers the lead. Final score, 1-0 Penn. College is a difficult transition for almost any student. It's even harder when you're 4,000 miles away from home. Mika Bourget and Pierre Cayette have used soccer here at Temple to connect their French heritage into a friendship. As the men's soccer team nears the halfway point of 2019, new friendships are beginning to emerge, and these are international ones. Number 20, Mika Bourget, and number 4, Pierre Cayette, both play defensive back for the Owls. But they had to travel almost 4,000 miles from their homes in northern France to meet on North Broad.
I was lucky because I never been to the US before. My English was not that good. And yeah, Pierre helped me a lot, the school, with the team. So yeah, he made that easy.
Social media was the key to this friendship, and chats over Instagram allowed the two to grow a friendship before they ever met in person.
Obviously, I was really excited about the information because I knew for me to get another French guy in the team would be a big advantage for me because I really like playing with some guys that have some, background from Europe.
Pierre is from Brett-les-Pins, while Mika grew up in Joffre. Both towns are on opposite sides of Paris. The two players have learned to use their French background in many different parts of their lives.
During the game, I remember one day I was speaking in French to, I think it was Andres, who don't speak French, and I was talking in French, but obviously he didn't understand. I was like, what am I doing?
When I first came with Simon, so we were only 2 French guys in the team. Now we have 4 French guys in the team, so it makes things much easier for me sometimes,
The two friends don't know where life will take them after Temple.
This experience is very unique, and the moments we share right now will stay forever.
Players say living in Philadelphia comes as a bit of a culture shock, but they are looking forward to finishing this season out together. While Cayette graduates this spring, the two said they believe that their friendship will last well beyond their days here on North Broad.
On to women's soccer, where Temple was also taking on the Quakers at UPenn on Sunday night. Early on, it's the Owls on the attack, and it's Emma Wilkins who's able to put the rebound home for her second goal of the season. But the Owls are unable to score again. They come close a few times, but they just can't find the back of the net. The team tallied 4 shots on goal in the game. Morgan Basilio finished with 7 saves on the night, but it wasn't enough as Temple loses this one 2-1. And speaking of Morgan Basilio, it is crunch time for the Temple women's soccer team. This is a sport where you're only really as good as the goalie, and conference play is here.
Joining us on the desk is Trey Petarka to talk about the one player who can use her hands in a sport mainly dominated by feet. Hey, Trey.
Thanks, guys. 2 wins, 4 losses, and 3 ties. Temple women's soccer leaves its non-conference schedule behind. Coach Seamus O'Connor and the Owls aim to make the American Conference Tournament in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 2015. And they'll do it only thanks to the hands of their starting goalie.
This week marks a new beginning for the Owls as they begin their road to the postseason. After falling to UCF last year in the first round of the American Conference Tournament, the Owls look to start their conference schedule off strong versus Cincinnati.
We want to make sure when we do get ahead that we can keep the ball and we're not just desperately defending to hold on to a lead. So I think for us the best way to defend is keep the ball. So it's a two-way street. It'll help us go forward, but I think a big difference from us from last year is just being able to keep the lead with possession.
Before last year, the Owls haven't seen any postseason action since 2015. And it's going to come down to what happens between the goalposts, as senior Morgan Basilio leads the American Conference with 68 saves, 31 more than the next goalkeeper.
I think right now she's playing some absolutely fantastic soccer, and she's saving us. Certainly at least once or twice a game she's stealing goals, which is what you need in conference, especially because they're all good. We're going to give up opportunities, but you need a goalkeeper to come up big. So we feel really, really confident having Morgan back there that she'll cover up for some of our mistakes.
Playoffs or bust. Coach O'Connor says that now they're working on the attacking end of the field to take some of the pressure off of Basilia.
I feel confident. I think, like I said, we realized a lot of things we need to fix, and how we're going to fix them. Hopefully we figure out today in the next few days, and then hopefully head in strong to Cincinnati.
The journey back to the postseason begins at Temple Sports Complex Thursday night at 7. After the Owls are home again Sunday against ECU. I'm Trey Petrarca. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Trey. Temple volleyball waltzed into the Big 5 Challenge at Villanova, undefeated this past weekend, with a program record start of 9-0. However, Nova and Princeton were waiting, and now the Owls are undefeated no more. The Owls went winless over the weekend despite strong performances from sophomore Jem Grimshaw and junior Katarina Papazogolo, who had a combined 23 kills. The Owls now look ahead to their conference opener at South Florida.
It's time for our final break, but stick with us.
Coming up after the break, I'll tell you about a local cornerback on Temple football team who's making an immediate impact since transferring to Temple this past offseason. OwlSports Update will be back in 90 seconds. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. With the departure of a few key members of the secondary last year, the Temple football team needed a helping hand on defense heading into the 2019 season. Harrison Hand, transferring from Baylor University, has certainly helped the Owls, but this time on the field this season has almost didn't happen.
From a former #1 prospect in New Jersey to a transfer on North Broad, Harrison Hand made the decision to transfer from Baylor to Temple before the start of the 2019 season.
I felt really good about it, especially that I got the chance to be back home, see my family.
The cornerback nearly came to Temple as a freshman 2 years ago, but the departure of defensive backs coach Fran Brown to Baylor sent him 1,500 miles away from home. This offseason, when Coach Brown returned to Temple, Hand came along for the ride.
He's definitely more than a coach. That's like my big brother. You know, a lot of coaches, we just talk about football, we go our separate ways. Like, we talk about anything. Like, I can ask him about life, finances, being a great son, husband, brother, anything. Just our relationship will go long.
Coach Brown is doing a really good job with those guys out there, and Harrison obviously is right there in that discussion.
Thanks to NCAA transfer rules, Hand wasn't initially allowed to play heading into the 2019 season.
No, I was actually right here. I'm cooling with the guys right after practice. Coach Carey come out, he called me over, shake my hand, told me I'm eligible, gave him a hug, everybody hyped, so we just went crazy.
And now Hand has one simple goal with his remaining time on campus. No single digit, just ball out.
I just want to ball out, just do the best I can every rep, not let nothing get caught, just ball out.
Hand has already won the AAC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance against Maryland, where he recorded 10 tackles and an interception.
Great work, Adam. Big weekend coming up. And if you aren't following us on Twitter already, you're missing out. Head over to @OwlSportsUpdate to check out our weekly Twitter poll. The question you ask? Jeff Collins is back at the link for the first time since leaving the Owls for G-Tech. How should Temple fans react to Jeff Collins? If booing or cheering doesn't suffice your emotions, feel free to leave us a comment. Personally, Adam, I would welcome Jeff Collins back. But that's all the time that we have for today. But have no fear. Dan Wilson and Brooklyn Vaughn will be back on Tuesday to recap the Georgia Tech game.
And be sure to tune in next Thursday to catch Sean McGeehan and Brian Steinmetz back on the decks for another edition of OwlSports Update. For JJ Mahowski, I'm Adam Cronali. Have a great day, everyone, and go Birds!